Ez, I have somewhat of an idea here. This is all following the news that George R. R. Martin has signed this big 8-figure 5 year deal, probably 10 million a year, because they say it's probably going to be mid 8 figures. So he's probably so that's my assumption.
Sure.
Because we're going to get a lot more Westeros based content coming to HBO Max, which is exciting for us. Not so exciting for people who are fans of Winds of Winter, but hear me out. One of the things I like to think about is the difference in sort of production styles between all of these different content companies. Okay. You have Disney, right? And we talk a lot about the Disneyfication of Star Wars, right? How
Sure.
Does it feel more like the Avengers now? Does it, has it lost some of that stuff because Disney has their own style? Everything's interconnected and it's all of these things. And on the other side, you have sort of AT&T, but it's Warner Brothers, and all that stuff, HBO. They're the ones that are they're going to be crafting this new generation of Game of Thrones. So I think one of the things that you and I both like is DC Comics. That's sort of
Sure.
Here's our sort of you guys have Marvel, we have DC. Well, one of the big things that's going on in DC right now is sort of this Arrowverse sort of flashpoint thing in which you see both in the movies and in the show that the Flash can go back in time and sort of like mess with everything and create all these different universes and all these different sort of like, versions. And we can bring in this guy from all of the different stuff. I mean, like Michael Keaton's supposed to be the new Batman in the Flash movie. Okay. It's crazy, right?
Sure.
Well, one of the other things that HBO did that I thought was really cool was there is a TV series that you and I have both watched and we have talked a lot about, and that's Deadwood. So Deadwood had 3 seasons and then it kind of ended. Really should have had more, but people kept talking, man, we really wish that they would at some point finish it. And one of the things that I will say Warner Brothers is really good at is there's enough traction on the internet, as we saw with the Zack Snyder director's cut of Justice League.
Yes.
They'll make it happen because they say we can make it happen. So hear me out. This is a total hypothetical, but let's just say that something like this were to get greenlit and HBO comes in and HBO gave Zack Snyder $70 million. Okay. To basically fix a movie so they could add it to HBO Max. I'm not saying season 9 of Game of Thrones, but Game of Thrones is also in this thing. There is a character in Game of Thrones who we just talked about. We just did a big video about Hodor.
Yep. Yes, we did.
There's a character that is still alive that could essentially reboot the series.
Yeah. Yes, there is.
Rand could go back. Rand could go back in time. And I'm not saying it's gonna happen.
No.
But let's just say that they said, you know what, this Zack Snyder thing with Justice League, people really like it. And there's a big movement right now. They said we want the universe changed back to that.
Yes.
Could we see something like this in Game of Thrones?
Look, here's the thing. It's not a diss to the original creator. It's not a diss to like anyone else who had their hand in season 8 or like you said, the original Justice League. What it comes down to is, does it fix things? Like if something got kind of shifted and there were resources, lack of time, there are contract conflicts, whatever it might be, we don't care. All right, we don't care. If it's gonna make them money and drive people to HBO Max. And you said you're going to give me the George R. R. Martin cut of season 8. Stop. I would lose my mind. And to see how different it would be, like, I mean, again, that's not really I'm kind of just joking, right? But like, let's say like you could go in there and he could do what he wanted. But like, even if it's a movie, like you and I've talked like that, we've said this before. We don't think that the end, what we see at the end of season 8, is the end. I mean, we might have seen bits and pieces. There's so much more that could have happened, that should have happened. And I think you could come back and do, like you said, either a movie, season 9, whatever it might be, go in, I don't know. I don't know what you could do to it, but I think you do have a chance that it was such a divisive kind of, end to Game of Thrones. And really, George, I think, is actually going for that type of ending in his book. Not the one that we saw in season 8, but like an ending where you're torn. It's the bittersweet. We always talk about like, oh, that was poetic and that worked. And then this, what the hell happened? I mean, something so unexpected happened to a character. I did not see this coming. But then when I go back and I look, oh, it was just subtly kind of referenced all the way along. And I would love to see something done there. Now, first and foremost, we want him to go do the Westeros verse. We want him to get everything going in the prequels and have that running smooth and just running and gunning. And if that's even remotely successful in a couple years or something, it won't shock me at all if they said, do we think we could pull this off? Do we think we could actually do you think George could actually, instead of finishing Winds of Winter, he could just tell it to us in a TV show, or like a season, give him one season, or give him a movie to continue on? I don't know if there's too much of his book has been revealed in the TV show that he couldn't do that or whatever. I mean, I know a lot of it is, but we're speculating, we're daydreaming, we're just thinking about things. We got magic in Westeros now, so why not go back and change a few things or correct a few wrongs? I don't know.
Well, keep in mind here, I mean, HBO just paid what I'm assuming is roughly $50 million to George R. R. Martin to come in and say, we want you, it's a 5-year deal. They say mid-50s, or they say mid-8 figures, which to me is $50 million, which sounds, okay, $10 million per year. So I'm sure in that contract, they said, we want to bring you on, and this is what we want. We want X, Y, and Z. And what's to say that they don't, I mean, the way where Game of Thrones ends, there's a lot you could still do. You could come back and there's a lot you could do. And you know what? Who knows? Yeah. The Zack Snyder cut of Justice League is so big of a game changer for film. I mean, film, that you might see people saying, you know what? We could just redo that whole season 8 thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Did we ever think really quick? Did we ever think that we would ever see something to the extent of Zack Snyder's Justice League? I mean, with Batman vs Superman, we got sort of a director's cut, Zack Snyder's director's cut, right, where they added 30 minutes.
Sure.
And it was like, wow, really expanded a lot. I mean, this is a 4-hour. It's twice as long. And the story is like 90% different villain. And people love it, and everyone's like, I've just written the other one out of my mind.
Me too. I 100% written it out of my mind. Let me tell you something. So I looked up some stats here. Game of Thrones season 8 brought in an average of $88 million per episode. You want to pay George R. R. Martin $50 million and have him bring back maybe 8 more episodes that are the George R. R. Martin cut? You'll more than, if it makes money and people, can you imagine the hype? Can you imagine what would happen? It would be insane. Right. People would lose their minds to get an alternate ending. It's just something different. Who knows? I don't know how the actors or people would feel about that or whatever, but still, I think it's interesting to consider.
I think there's other stories you can tell too, and we'll leave it here pretty shortly. But there's a lot of other stories you could tell where you could do a movie, right? And again, George's Winds of Winter and all that stuff, it can be whatever it wants, because clearly it seems like the TV is the way that it's going, and you'll have TV versions that are totally different than books and stuff like that. And I think a lot of that's okay too, right? I mean, look at comics. There's literally thousands upon thousands of comic versions of stories that are totally different than the movie versions we see. It's always like, well, in a comic book movie, it's like, well, they're pulling from this comic and this comic, but it's ultimately its own thing.
Sure.
I mean, why not do a Jon Snow movie? I'm sure Kit Harington would come down to do a post season 8 Jon Snow movie where he's up there battling things, and it can just be that. It can just be a standalone thing. And it's cool, and it is what it is, and it doesn't necessarily have to involve Bran and Daenerys and all that stuff. Or maybe you do a movie where Daenerys, like a lot of people theorize that maybe Drogon takes her back and she's resurrected by a Red Priestess, and then she just ends up taking over Meereen, and that could be her, and then it's like, okay, you can, and then we'll feel better about season 8. Arya sailing off. There's a ton you can do.
There's a ton. You could come back and just focus on those individual characters and take us a bit further with them if you wanted to. Maybe it's further than George has ever intended to write. Maybe he would say, in my mind, as I think about it, here's where I might take a character like that. Who knows, right?
Regardless of whether it turned out to be great or not, did we ever think we would ever see Star Wars 7, 8, and 9 with Mark Hamill?
I know what you're saying. Like, I always said, like one day they're going to do it, but I always thought it'd be George Lucas who would come back and do it, and it wasn't. And so, but still, he wanted that story to continue on. So yeah, no, we never thought that. So could we see? Is it too early for this? Maybe, but like, could it happen? Let me give you another stat here. Okay, this is again just from financemonthly.com saying Jon Snow is the rightful heir to the throne when it comes to earnings, being responsible for $501 million. Based upon his screen time across all 8 seasons. That's insane. Like, that one character alone is so popular that you could do a Jon Snow continued story, and I think people would literally say, what is this all about? Is this tied to the books or what? It's just sick.
A 2-hour King in the North movie that takes place post season 8, where it's Jon Snow and Ghost, and they're right out there. I don't know what they're fighting against. Maybe there's still more White Walkers. Maybe there's more whatever. Maybe there's another threat. Who knows?
Yeah.
But if they made it, would we watch it?
Yes.
Absolutely. And they clearly brought George in for something. And that's the difference between, that could be the big difference between this and Star Wars, is George Lucas kind of still comes in to kind of like, this is cool and stuff like that. And they'll ask him stuff, but it's not like he's directly involved in writing it. This is totally different because George is directly involved with these projects that are coming up.
Yeah.
Do you think, and I'm asking this, we can kind of close it here.
Yeah.
Do you think we will get any sort of post season 8 content? Guys, let us know. Leave us a comment, because I'd say it's all wide open. I'd say it's all possible.
Yep.
So let us know. Leave us a comment, guys. And remember that more Game of Thrones is coming.